Hello everyone and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to be learning about sessions in Forex trading. So to the question now, what's a session or what are sessions in Forex trading? So I'll define session or I'll define a session as a period of time where traders in a particular geographical location tend to trade the market or tend to be active more trading the market. So even though the Forex market runs for 24 hours in a day, you have to understand that all major markets in different parts of the world have their particular or have their peculiar timing. Okay, and their timing is what sessions in Forex is all about. So it's basically a timing. It's basically a time period where traders in a particular region tend to be more active. Okay, so the Forex market can be broken into 4 or 5 major sessions. That's in relation with the 4 major markets in the world. So we have 4 major markets in the world, and the sessions can be broken down into 4 major sessions based on these major markets in the world, or that's the major Forex markets. Okay, so one important thing you need to note is that the peak trading hours or most active trading hours are usually experienced in periods of intersections between different sessions. Okay, and during a currency session, that currency tends to be stronger. Okay, that currency tends to be stronger because that currency or that country rather or region's economy is most active at that period. So this is, however, not always the case, as this is also subjected to fundamental and technical analysis. I'm sure you don't know about fundamental or technical analysis, but it's something we're going to look at in further lesson. We have 4 major Forex market sessions, and these are the Sydney session, which is related to the Australia. We're all with Australia. And then we have the Tokyo session, which is related to Japan, okay, or Asia. And then we have the London session, which is related to England. And then we have the New York session, which is related to the United States of America. So these sessions have currencies which they favor. Okay, so look at the New York session, for example. The New York session obviously will favor a currency like the US dollar, and it's also favor a currency like the Canadian dollar, because the United States and Canada are kind of closer geographically. So you tend to see that their currencies tend to behave alike because of their proximity geographically. Now, because of this geographical proximity between these two countries, that's the US and the US and Canada, we tend to see that their economies tend to be active at around the same time. Okay, that's why this session, which is the New York session, tends to affect the US dollar and also CAD. Now, the London session tends to affect the Great Britain pound. Okay, but we also see that the London session usually affects the euro also, because they are kind of located geographically close to each other, because they are all in Europe. Okay, they are all in Europe, and they kind of behave alike also. Now we see that the Tokyo session, which is Japan, tends to favor the Japanese yen. Okay, and then probably some other currencies or some other countries that are close in proximity to Japan will also enjoy the favors that come with the Tokyo session. And then the Australia or the Sydney session rather tends to favor Australia. Okay, and we see currencies like the Australian dollar and then also the New Zealand dollar also tend to behave alike because of the Sydney session. Now in the next slide, I have this little illustration that illustrates the Forex sessions all across the world, and relating them, of course, to the time zones. Okay, we have the GMT here, we have the EST, we have the CST, MST, PST, and West African time, that WAT. So these are the time zones, and from wherever you are in the world, you probably fall under one of these time zones. So you can actually relate the Forex sessions, okay, to your country's time. So we can see that for New Zealand, it opens at 21 GMT and then closes at 3 GMT. Then we have the Australian session, which opens at 23 GMT and then closes at 7 GMT. So you see that this is just about 2 hours difference. Okay, we have the Tokyo session, which opens at 0 GMT and then closes at 7 GMT. We have the London session, which opens at 7 GMT and then closes at 16 GMT. We have the New York session, which opens at 12 GMT and then closes at 20 GMT. So that's the idea of GMT. Sorry, that's the idea of sessions in relation to geographical locations and also the time zones we have. So like I said earlier before, I said one important thing for you to note is that the peak trading hours or most active trading hours are usually experienced in periods of intersection between different sessions. Okay, and during a currency session, that currency tends to be stronger because that country or region's economy is most active. Okay, so let's just focus on this first part of the statement. So the peak hours or the most active trading hours are experienced during the periods of intersection between different sessions. So when I come to this slide right now, you can see that from here to here, like this, if you can see from here to here, we have a gray color, we have a gray background, unlike this part which is white. Okay, and we also have the same thing happening here. So I've created this to show an intersection between different sessions. So we have the London and New York session intersecting at this point. We have the Australian session, the Tokyo session, and then parts of the London session intersecting at this point. Okay, so we tend to see that these points are kind of the peak hours or the most active trading hours in these sessions, because more traders are trading in this intersection. Okay, we see that traders here, and traders here are trading in this section, but from here to here, we only have traders in the New Zealand. Okay, and of course here also will be more active. The most active intersection will be this point. You see where my mouse is pointing at this point, because it's at this point that we have all of these players present. Okay, so that's the idea of sessions. So these files will also be available, or this file will also be available to you, so as to follow along and so as to see for yourself. And this will also guide you as you learn how to actually go about your journey as a Forex trader. So thanks for staying tuned, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.